Hello again, it's Modular 3, and we're going to talk about vehicle movements. Some of the stuff we'll discuss is visual, mental, attention, and communication, reference points, balance of the vehicle, vehicle movements, and then obviously the driving plan. Hopefully by now you've gotten a permit. If not, keep working on that, making sure you get all your papers. I would suggest making sure the parent reads Modular 0 on the viewer info on what to take to DPS, sort of a little reminder there. And then again, at the end of the chapter, we're always going to have the review questions that you can review, and then you go to the learn part, you take your quiz, and pretty much it's going to be the same way from there on out, and then you'll be good to go. So let's get into this. We talked about this, what I just talked about. Oh, by the way, here's a good number. Let's say your quiz fails, or again, you walked away from your quiz, and dad or mom or whoever made you go out and take some trash or go do something, and then you came back and the quiz turned black. If it does, text this number to Miss Danielle. And text her your first name, last name, and say, hey, my Modular 4 quiz is black, or my Modular 8 quiz is black. Could you reset it? And we'll reset that. Sometimes if you walk away for a long period of time, the quiz doesn't know if you're there or not, and then it just shuts down. So then we have to physically reset those. So anyway, remember you only have 10 months to finish your classroom, so remember that, okay? So again, read the note and we'll go from there. All right, visual and mental attention and communication. Very important to have a good mind in the car. Now that seems weird to you, but do you think, the question I asked to you is, do you think a boy or girl driving a car that just broke up with their boyfriend and emotionally just crying all the way home, do you think they are in a good mental attention to drive the car? Or better than that, someone died in your family, okay? Should they be driving? I know this sounds weird, but yeah, sometimes they may have to drive. Are they in a good mental attention? Okay, are they going to be able to communicate? Are they going to be able to see things and pick up things? Are they going to be thinking about what happened to them? Okay, a person that lost their job, so on. Okay, the student is expected to describe sustained visual attention, mental attention, and communication. All right, so I will kind of go through some of these pretty quick because you will get to read these in the learn part. All right. We're going to list characteristics of tradition and non-tradition roadways, intersections, including railroad crossings and traffic circles. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Later on, not this chapter or this modular, but the next modular, the modular after that, I have a worksheet just on intersections, identifying them, and so forth. Okay, visual and mental attention. Most of the time, a person, driving a car can see 180 degrees. So they can see all of this, at up to about 2 to 3 miles per hour. So if I got out and started walking, I could still see all the way this way and all the way this way. Now, once I speed that up, the visual effect narrows down. They say that at 70 miles an hour, here to here, you could probably only physically see 10 feet across. That everything out here to the side is all blurry. So all of this and all of this is blurry. So you're not going to pick up the car if you're going through this intersection here at 70 miles an hour. You're not going to pick up this car coming through here. If he decided to run the stop sign. So be aware of your visual and mental attention. Visual attention operates at 2 stages. The first stage, attention is disturbed uniformly. external scene process information and perform parallel, and the second attention concentration is specific to the area of vision. Okay, and mental attention is basic, just like it is the behavior, the cognitive process, concentrating on the aspect of environment and ignoring other things. Okay, and that's the simple thing of your friends are walking down the street and you go, hey, how are y'all? What's going on? Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there. What am I doing? I'm forgetting about the front part. Okay, so, and all of a sudden then I run into the back of the car. All right, so be aware of that. We're going to watch a video on field of vision. So I'll see you after this video.
Using your eyes effectively. Using your eyes effectively while driving. Welcome to Using Your Eyes Effectively While Driving. We're going to explore the fascinating world of visual perception. And we'll answer questions like, what's the difference between the two types of information our eyes provide us with? Where on the driving scene should a driver concentrate most of his or her attention? And what's the effect of alcohol on a driver's visual perception? The answers to these questions and more in Using Your Eyes Effectively While Driving. The skill of safe driving is mostly in your mind, how well you think about what's going on around you. To think clearly and react quickly, you need information. And most of that information comes to you through your eyes. It's called visual perception, and it means your ability to notice many things at once. To get the right information to the brain, a driver's eyes have to move constantly, picking out the appropriate parts of the driving scene at the right time. How can you make sure you're using your eyes right when you drive? First, let's take a look at how a driver's eyes work. There are two types of vision, central and peripheral. Our central vision is concentrated in the spot that covers about 3 degrees of our visual field. Peripheral vision, or side vision, covers the rest. Central vision is a very small area in the middle of your total field of vision. But central vision allows us to make some very important driving judgments, like estimating distance and reading details in the traffic scene. Our peripheral vision, or side vision, is not as sharp as central vision, but it is more sensitive to light and motion. That's a good thing, because it helps us detect events to the side that are important to us, even if we aren't looking directly at them. Events like cars entering our field of vision from the side, or warning lights on ambulances, police cars, and other emergency vehicles. Central vision plus side vision make up the entire visual field, the main source for the information that every driver needs for safe driving. Most driver mistakes are caused by bad habits in the ways they use their eyes. Let's take a look at the best way to make our visual perception work for us when we're driving, because how you use your eyes will determine how safely you drive. Where in the driving scene should a driver concentrate the most attention? Most of a driver's attention should be concentrated on the vehicle's intended path of travel. There are 3 basic rules to follow in developing good eye habits for driving. First, aim high and look ahead, not down. The experienced driver's attention is focused on the road ahead, with the central vision following the intended path of travel. Second, keep your eyes moving. The good driver concentrates on selecting details in the traffic scene and on the distance between the car and objects ahead. Third, get the big picture. Search the whole scene, not just part of it. Check the rearview mirrors to see ahead and behind you. As you approach an intersection, watch for vehicles and pedestrians moving in all directions, for traffic control devices, and for anything else that might block your vision or otherwise increase risk. Now let's see how these rules work in some actual driving situations. Driving is primarily a task of information processing, but in order for us to learn what visual cues are important for driving, we must be able to describe the driver's visual search process. This is a representation of a driver's visual field. The oval area in the middle of the field represents central vision. The grayed area surrounding the oval represents side vision. When we drive, our eyes move in a series of rapid, jerky movements. Between each movement, the eye pauses for a fraction of a second, then darts to another part of the scene. These pauses are known as fixations. Now, even though these fixations are very short, they give the driver's brain time to gather important information from the eye's image of the driving scene. When negotiating a curve and merging onto a freeway, the same three rules that apply to training your vision apply. First, aim high and look ahead, not down. The eyes of an experienced driver tend to look ahead, typically sweeping into the curve several seconds before her car reaches it. Second, keep your eyes moving. Use the lane lines close to your car to maintain proper lateral position. Third, get the big picture. Your eyes select important clues as to how to maneuver the car, the curvature of the road, the condition of the curve, and the speed and direction of other traffic. Merging is another potentially difficult maneuver. A good driver starts sampling the conditions in the stream of traffic 10 seconds before reaching the merge point. In a merge situation, experienced drivers maintain lane position by glancing momentarily to the right side of the road. They always maintain an awareness of other traffic patterns developing around them. Train your eyes to follow the three rules. Aim high and look ahead, not down. Keep your eyes moving. And get the big picture. Keep these rules in mind whenever you drive, and your eye habits will improve. With experience, some driving tasks don't require every eye fixation to be directed only toward traffic and the path of the car. For example, a driver may be concerned with avoiding a pedestrian, but can still maintain control of the vehicle with only very brief glances at the intended path of travel. Experienced drivers develop the ability to use side vision to judge distance. Let's look at two examples in which drivers are functioning at less than top efficiency. Consider a tired driver. His central vision tends to fixate lower and to the right, often dipping all the way down to the road surface. Consider another driver, one who is mildly under the influence of alcohol. His example allows us to answer the question, what is the effect of alcohol on visual perception? Even though he isn't legally drunk, after only a few drinks, the effects of alcohol on his eye habits are readily noticeable. His concentration is failing. His eyes are staring straight ahead. His central vision is stuck squarely on the surface of the road. He notices nothing to either side. This is a very dangerous situation, both for himself and every other driver on the road. New drivers can train themselves to have good eye habits and effectively search the driving scene for important information that will allow them to drive more safely. To train yourself to use your eyes properly while driving, you must follow our three rules. First, aim high and look ahead. Give yourself a visual lead time of at least 20 to 30 seconds. That's about 2 city blocks at 30 miles per hour, 4 at 55. Second, keep your eyes moving. Roadway and off-road conditions are constantly changing. Search the scene for clues to these changes. Stay alert for changes on the roadway or potentially dangerous conditions that might require you to readjust the speed or position of your car. And third, get the big picture. Search the whole scene, not just part of it. Scanning helps you gather more information and keeps your mind engaged on the traffic scene, which reduces boredom and fatigue. Scanning also means checking your rear view and side view mirrors at least once every block in the city and once every 5 seconds in heavy traffic. Because of blind spots to the rear of and behind your vehicle, head checks are an important part of the scanning process. Always return your central vision to your intended path of travel and use your side vision for information along the edges of the traffic scene. That wraps up our presentation on visual perception. Applying what we've shown you in this presentation will increase the efficiency of your eyes and brain in gathering and processing the information you need to drive safely. Remember, your safety and the safety of everybody on the road with you depends on all of us improving our skills at seeing and anticipating driving hazards.
Okay, welcome back. So basically this is sleight of vision. It is most used in the sense of the driver performing driving tasks, which qualities of objects, color, shape, size, so forth. And then you have hearing, okay, then you have the hearing part, sounds, hearing the police car, hearing the fire ambulance, and so forth. I'm not going to read in depth those. That's what you can do in the learn part. Okay, smell, basically a sense of use objective, recognize something that means sensory of nerves located in the nose, whether there's a fire in your car, so on and so forth. Okay, taste, touch, we're all familiar with this. Okay, and then kinesthetic is the feel, hands on the steering wheel, feeling a bump. Okay, and then field of vision is central vision. Okay, fringe vision, okay, is used in the judgment depth position. It has provided information about objects close to travel path and lane position. Okay, then we got peripheral vision, employ a 360 scan of the car. There's a system that I'm going to be talking about later on, IPDE, about being aware of the front of the car, the back of the car, the side of the car. Notice right here, this is like if you're doing a lane change, look at the blind spots. You can't see that unless you look over your shoulder. Okay? So just kind of be aware of these, that you have tinted path. Again, I'm not going to cover this detail. I would rather you read it in your learn part. So a little review, we talked a little bit about depth perception, visual acuity, near vision acuity, distance vision, okay, the ability to clear and see, inspected, and identify objects at a distance of 20 feet or more, okay, so you need to, be able to see that. Again, not being in fixation, and that's where, you're waving at your friends for a long, long time, so always try to maintain this and then looking behind and in front, okay? So now we're gonna have a video on reference points, and so I'll see you after this video.
Today, I want to introduce and talk about reference points, an elegant shortcut used by driving instructors to speed up learning process. Basically what they do is replace your judgment with an easy-to-remember sentence. For example, rather than judging how far back you can reverse into a parking space in order to hide in it completely, but without touching the curb, you can use a reference point. When the curb appears to be in the corner of rear passenger window, stop. If you're doing this task for the first or second time in your life, it's much easier that way, and you can complete it independently on your third attempt. Acquiring proper feel of how long your vehicle is will take much longer, weeks, maybe even months of driving. In general, there are two types of reference points, optical and abstract. Optical. These types of reference points completely replace your judgment and don't require any mental effort. No need to assess things. Good example of optical reference point is how far back to stop behind preceding traffic. As close as possible while still seeing his tires touching the tarmac. Optical reference points are very easy to use, but may be extremely sensitive to the positioning of your head. So even small change in pre-drive seat setup may render optical reference point useless. Not only that, but also others, often external changes, may affect optical reference points. For example, different road camber or inclination. One last small inconvenience is the fact that sometimes The reference point is not really that obvious. If you need to stop when the curb is 3/4 of the way along the edge of the window, it's not so easy to remember anymore. Abstract reference points. This type of reference points are much more difficult to use. They require some degree of spatial intelligence and imagination. For example, to turn when the front of the car is in line with the beginning of the bay requires careful assessment of the car's position relative to the bay. They do help to memorize individual steps required to complete a maneuver, and I think they bridge the gap between using optical reference points and relying solely on judgment nicely. Thanks for watching. I'm Mark. Drive smart.
Okay, visual searching skills. It is crucial for a novice driver like you, okay, to use these visual functions to develop proper searching skills, okay? And I will talk a little bit about this more in our Smith system, IPDE system. Visual targeting, advantages of targeting, allows a driver to visualize the space intended, helps the driver start learning and using searching process, allows the driver to plan ahead, increases sleeping precision, and it reduces steering reversals, okay? Develops the skid avoidance, meaning stopping all of a sudden because the car stopped and you're looking over here, all right? Trying to pick a target area. Again, the video beforehand showed you about reference points and a little bit about targeting. Line of sight, knowing you need to be looking about what we say here. I know you probably can't see this little picture here, but seeing about 12 seconds up the road. We're going to talk about a 2-second, 3-second, 4-second following distance. The faster I go, you need to be looking further up the road, okay? Path of travel. We're talking about that. Here's our target path of travel. They say if I was in this car and I was looking at the curve, okay, so I was over here looking at the curve, I'm going to hit the curve, okay. So be aware of that. You'll watch one of my videos in the parking lot lesson about when they do the hand over hand. They need to get the head around when they go look back at what they're looking at, not just looking at the cone going around the cone. So path of travel, be aware of this. They need to be looking where they're going, not looking at the curve because they're scared they're going to hit it. All right? Operating a vehicle, open vehicle space, closed vehicle space, change vehicle space. Make sure you read up on that and you learn. Very good information in there. Following distance, we'll spin I think after this little thing, I have a video on following distance, but it is a speed and road conditions that need existent adjustments of following. So I kind of almost say if you're going 20 miles an hour, you need a 2-second following distance. 30 miles an hour, 3-second following distance. 40 miles an hour, 4-second following distance. 50 miles an hour, a 5-second following distance, and so forth. Gives you enough space. If that car stops in front of you, you're not going to hit it. Okay? And we're going to talk about this. Let's watch a video on following distance. I like the video. It's really good about following distance.
You look a little tense.
I don't think the guy in front of me knows what he's doing.
If you keep a safe following distance, you'll feel more comfortable, that you're in control, so you can enjoy the drive.
Okay. How far should I be?
Try the 3-second rule. Pick out a mark on the road up ahead, like a sign or a guardrail. Wait for the car in front of you to cross, then count. 1001, 1002, 1003. If you get to 3 before you pass the mark, then there's usually enough room between you and the other car. The nice thing about the 3-second rule is it works at any speed. However, when visibility is poor or the road is wet, then increase the count to 4 or 5 seconds.
Oh, yes. Much better.
Okay, we talked about 3 seconds. You saw in the video that they talked about 2 seconds, 3 seconds. As you increase your speed, more seconds. So just be aware of this and how this should work. Again, in all my modules, I'm going to sort of explain something, and usually I like to have a little video about it, okay? Recommend safe following intervals. Again, here I like this. It says 2-second interviews, steering a problem around anywhere from 20 to 35 miles an hour. 3 seconds is anywhere from 35 miles an hour to 45 miles an hour or 50. And then 4 seconds, pretty much anything over 55 miles an hour, okay? All right, down here, I like to, you go through this, but I like this part down here. Always expect the unexpected. Predict the worst, I like to say. Predict the worst, okay? If you're driving a car going straight and you got a car coming in this way, okay? Predict that that guy's going to run the stop sign. What would you do, okay? So be aware of that. Predict that the pedestrian including a runner, is going to run off the street or cut across the street. All right? Predict the child skater is going to come out in the street in front of you. All right? Highway construction maintenance worker. Predict that the maintenance worker is, flagging the wrong way or doing something, or the tractor is going to come out in front of you. All right? Utility worker. All right, predict the worst of a stranded motorist or passenger, that they're just going to open the door. Okay, bicycle, motorists. All right, farm equipment, slow moving vehicles. Predict the worst. Predict the worst at uncontrolled intersections, T intersections, and public roadways and private roadways. Okay? So read up on this, approaching intersections, be aware of this. Again, I'm going to have a very good worksheet on this later on that we're going to go through. Okay, I like a lot of these bullet points here. Prepare yourself for the vehicle. Driver readiness, make sure you have driver readiness. Do not rush. Develop your reference points. You will learn that as you get going. You'll be able to pick up more, okay? Find visual targets. Visually target at the end of the path of travel, depending on the field of vision, 15, 20, and 30 seconds, okay, ahead of you. Be alert. Restrictions on blocked lane, so you know that this lane's ending, so you need to go ahead and get over early and not wait till the very end, all right? When you apply the foot to the brake accelerator, checking your rearview mirror, and what that's talking about is I take my foot off the gas and I go to the brake. Right before I go to the brake, I need to look in the mirror to make sure I have enough room behind me that the guy is not going to run into me, okay? Or he's aware of me. All right. Establish a goal, maintenance of 4 seconds, and protect yourself from the unexpected. Again, predict the worst. This system's come up with a system of identifying, determine, decide. We call it SIPET. So just kind of be aware of that. This is a real good page on 20 when you get in your stuff to read. Okay. To help avoid running red lights, you need to be aware of this. In one of my videos, I have a very good video of just nothing but cars running red lights. So it's a very good video, and you'll see that. Looking for indicators, signals, change, flashing pedestrian signals, okay? Safe procedures applying when approaching a vehicle. Good communication. Is that other car looking at you? Do you see that the car is looking at you? Okay. Turn signals, yes, use them, okay? Horn, lane positionings, hand gestures. That doesn't mean shooting the bird. That means, looking at the person. Now, I don't ever get to a point where I'm waving someone on And if they wave me on, I don't go. Okay, I might, if I do go, I'm clearing the intersection, I'm easing up, because just because he waves you on and you pull out the intersection and a car hits you, it's still your fault if it's not your right of way. You can't go blame the guy that waved the hand. You still need to make sure it's safe and clear. Okay? Watching your speed, having headlights on. Okay, so most cars now have the headlights on, so kind of be aware of that. We talked a little bit about reference points. You saw a video on that. Standard reference points, lane position, okay, is where the vehicle in the center of the lane, okay, is where the vehicle is 3 to 6 inches away from the lane, and lane position 3 is where the vehicle is 3 to 6 inches of the intended path of travel. So really, guys, a lot of this I'll probably let you read in there. It's pretty good information in the learn part. Again, I'm just kind of looking through here to see if there's anything that really stands out. But this is really good information about right side reference points, left side reference points. One of the things I suggest to do with your parent is practice driving up to a curve, okay, especially on the right side, like on the right side of the car or the passenger side of the car, and trying to get as close to that curve and park it without hitting the curve. Okay, so that'll help you in being aware of the vehicle surroundings. Okay, A pillar, C pillar. This is the roof supporting the members of the vehicles. Station wagons, pillar separates. Okay, so just be aware of front turning points and rear turning points. Okay. And I got a good video here you can click on in the learn part to go look up more in the reference points. All right, so just kind of be aware of that. But really good stuff there you can read up in your learn part. Vehicle balance. The student is expected to find explanatory balance, summarize how the speed of the impact of the vehicle. Okay, so we're going to explain how to perform. Describe how the performant vehicle operating controlling tasks may result in balance. Describe the position of the seat, the posture, okay? Not, sitting here, one hand in it, okay? All right? So vehicle balance is reference distributed of weight on the car. So if you turn, you ever turn and the person turns so fast that you're kind of leaning, you got to lean or you got to kind of hold yourself up because the guy's turning too fast. Okay, so that's part of vehicle balance. Again, being in a good seating position where you can see, like if this is the dashboard and I can only see this far up over the dashboard, I don't want to be there. I want to raise that up. I want to be no more than probably 12 inches away from, I want to be at least 12 inches away from the steering wheel, okay? Not like grandma used to sit up there with her eyes like this and kind of just barely looking over the steering wheel. So be aware of that, okay? Read over a vehicle roll, pitch, yaw. That's page 32, so be aware of that. I think there's a question about roll, pitch, or yaw in the review questions I have at the end of this. Again, read up on very good stuff on the roll and pitch. I'm not going to get into too much details on that. I'm going to stick with the good stuff because I got a good Smith System stuff I'm going to talk about here, defensive driving. But read into that and you learn. Okay, let's watch a video on vision and SIPED. That's, SIPED, S-I-P-D-E. So be aware of that, and I'll let you watch this video.
You may have a weak eye or have lost an eye. If so, your depth and motion perception will be affected. You should then center your vision on the road ahead and scan more frequently. You must also learn to judge distances and the speed of other vehicles without the help of three-dimensional vision. Even normal eyesight can sometimes become monocular when the person becomes overtired. This phenomenon is extremely dangerous because the affliction is temporary and you don't know how to adapt to it. Color blindness is another affliction. Colorblind people confuse some colors, especially red and green, with all the potential danger this may entail for the driving task. Good visual techniques will help you anticipate obstacles and foresee dangers. You will thus be able to minimize the risks and maintain a safety zone around your vehicle. Experts have developed a system for safe driving which goes by the acronym SIPDE: Scan, Identify, Predict, Decide, and Execute. Let us take a closer look at each of these elements. You should scan the road and its surroundings constantly. By keeping your eyes moving, you increase your field of vision so that you see everything effectively. Conversely, staring straight ahead reduces your field of vision and can create a hypnotic effect.
That's what happens to me when I watch old reruns on television.
Aim high, far ahead at the center of your lane, 14 to 20 seconds ahead of you, but without staring so as to anticipate obstacles and foresee potential dangers. This will help you center your vehicle in the lane and drive smoothly. Check also to the sides. Scan what is on either side of the road to see the sidewalks, intersections, driveways, road signs, and traffic lights. Keep your eyes moving. Check your inside rear view mirror, then look below the mirror toward the right side of the road and scan toward the left 8 to 10 seconds ahead. Thus, you can see pedestrians, parked vehicles, pavement markings, and oncoming traffic. Glance back to 20 seconds ahead, look at the dashboard, and start the scan pattern again. Consequently, you will have a complete picture of your environment. Be ready to modify this sequence if necessary. For example, when approaching an intersection, look as far as possible to either side so that you can see approaching vehicles and other road users. Or if there is a danger on your right, glance quickly toward the left, ahead, behind, and check your left blind spot to foresee a way out. Conversely, if the hazard is on the left, scan toward the right for the same reason. With all the information your eyes scan, there's a danger of information overload. You must use your selective seeing ability to identify the data critical to the driving task, the signs, signals, hazards, etc., that will require a decision to reduce the risk. Remember to identify a blocked line of sight as a danger. What can you do to reduce the risk from the unknown? When moving, you are approaching the identified danger. By glancing far ahead, this hazard is still 10 seconds away from you. You then have time to predict what may happen. Ask yourself, what do I do if? Analyze the situation according to two scenarios. Stage 1, what is most likely to happen? And Stage 2, the worst case scenario. Examine your escape paths, your outs, the speed of the identified danger in relation to your speed and where the collision may occur. You must expect the unexpected. Be prepared for sudden movements by other road users. Make sure they see you. To attract their attention, do not hesitate to honk the horn, to flash the high beams, or use other means of communication. Once eye-to-eye contact has been established, the risk of a collision has been reduced. You are still 6 to 8 seconds from the identified source of danger. Decide now how to minimize the risk. You've communicated your presence, now adapt to the danger ahead. Two factors are always at your disposal: the position of your vehicle and your speed. By slowing down, you give yourself more time before you reach the danger. The situation may even change in this extra time. The reduced speed will also lower the force of impact should a collision occur. Would a change of lanes or lane position increase the space between you and the danger? Minimize the risk. Decide considering the two scenarios. What would minimize the risk and what to do in the worst case scenario? You are still 4 to 6 seconds from the danger. Immediately execute the decision. Change your path of travel or your speed or do both. This reduces the risk of danger. When you brake, time to the hazard has been increased, as well as the space between you and the danger. If the worst case scenario develops, you still have your Stage 2 decision prepared. You're out.
I think I deserve a salary increase.
Because you've already decided, you have saved the time normally required to reach a decision. Instead, you're ready to act. The SIPDE system will do more than just get you out of tricky situations. It will make for smoother, less stressful driving. You'll make early course corrections and speed adjustments to avoid disruptions, as well as any emergency evasive maneuvers. You will actively control your vehicle in the HTS. Eyes gather up to 90% of the information necessary for driving. Therein lies the importance of developing good visual habits and to have an eye test regularly or as soon as your sight becomes hazy. The field of vision is divided into two parts, central and peripheral vision. At high speed, the field of vision diminishes and visual acuity is reduced. Monocular vision and color blindness can affect your driving. The SIPDE strategy was developed for safe driving. Constantly scan the road and its surroundings, close to you and far ahead. Also glance at the rearview mirror and dashboard regularly. Identify the pertinent information, such as objects in motion, road signs, or hazards. When facing danger, anticipate what you should do according to two scenarios, the most likely to happen and the worst case. Decide what maneuvers will minimize the risk. Then, without hesitating, execute the maneuver. If the worst case scenario develops, execute the decision that corresponds to that scenario.
Okay, you saw that about talking about SIPIT. Here's changing in vehicle balance. They talk a little bit about yawing, okay? Vehicle movements, all right? It's the multitask performance complex executing of vehicle movements. So just, again, in your learn, read up on that. Lane changing procedures, we talk about that. I have a little thing called SMOG, S-M-O-G. That's signal, mirror, over the shoulder, go. And I got a very good video on that, so just be aware of that. It is a state law that you must give a signal 100 feet before you're going to lane change or you're going to turn into an intersection. Okay, so it's not 100 feet on lane change. Excuse me for that. Before a bridge, if you're going to go into the other lane, okay, you do need to let people know that you're signaling. But when you come up to intersection, 100 feet, guys, is really 5 cars. So 5 cars before you're fixed to make your turn, put your blinker on. Okay, so kind of be aware of that. And then here is our acronym for SMOG. So basically, if I got my hands on the steering wheel, I'm going to put my blinker on, okay? All right, so, put the blinker on, whatever. I'm signaling. I'm going to check my mirrors, okay? I'm looking, all right? It looks good. I'm going to take one quick over the shoulder and go. Notice that I didn't go like this. I didn't turn the steering wheel or move my shoulders. I want to keep my shoulders good. In my videos in the parking lot and neighborhood lesson, I give a very good description in the videos. Really watch that in Module 13 on how to do the over-shoulder check and make sure it's nice and smooth for the kids and where to look, okay? All right, so parents, please watch that. Kids, watch that. Make sure your parents watch that video in the neighborhood or parking lot lesson, okay? Here's a video on lane changes.
Hey, this is Andrew Sharp with the Safety Department again, and I'm here to remind us again about our safety slogan for the month, which is safety equals sharing the road. And for this video, I want to specifically talk about those times that you're changing lanes. You see, the roads in the month of November and December are as busy and filled as they're going to be all year long. And when we see higher congestion levels, we also see a higher level of accidents when we're shifting and changing lanes and we're not going through the process that we need to go through. And specifically, one of the trends that we're seeing more frequently is improper or lack of use of our mirrors. And so I want to talk to you guys about that today. You'll see in a video here next to me or behind me that we are seeing accidents such as this where drivers are clearly not checking their mirrors. If you can see in this video, the truck can actually see a vehicle in its side mirror but doesn't check. And when he changes lanes, he hits that vehicle. So what do you do? So a simple step to follow when you're changing lanes is the acronym SMOG, which stands for Signals, Mirrors, Over Your Shoulder, and Go. And let's walk through that process really simple. So first, turn your signal on. Make sure that signal is going the entire time you change lanes. From when you first have the intention to go till you've already made it into that lane that you're going into, leave that signal on so everyone else on the road knows what your intentions are. Secondly, make sure you check all of your mirrors. You need to check each and every one of those mirrors that's relevant to the direction that you're moving that vehicle. You want to walk through those mirrors two different times, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, to make sure that there's no vehicle on your side. And it's a good side point to note here that when you are driving down the road, if you're consistently checking those mirrors, even when you're not changing lanes, it helps you be aware of when vehicles enter your blind spot. And then you can also be aware when they've left. Now, you've turned your signal on, you've checked your mirrors. Now the time is to do one last check. You're going to look over your shoulder and you're going to make sure you don't see any vehicles from outside your side window. If you've done those three things, then you're ready to do the final step, which is go. Be confident and go. And so this is an important, simple step to follow to help ensure that you are as safe as you can when you're changing your lanes out there. So you guys, as you go through these busy roads and you find yourself in traffic, please remember the simple acronym SMOG. Turn your signals on, check your mirrors, look over your shoulder, and go. If you do those four things, you should be safe to go, and you should be ready to move on and have a good day. So guys, I appreciate your time, and as always, please remember that safety equals everybody.
Okay, so that was good stuff about lane changes. Again, we're talking about turning. Most of the time, guys, when you're turning, I know you probably can't see these pictures, but your right turns are always going to be the hardest. The right turns are always going to be the hardest, so kind of be aware of that, okay? Right turns are always going to be the hardest, so kind of be aware of that, okay? Left turns are easy, but I don't want you to turn into the first lane because that's oncoming traffic. You got to go to the other side of the yellow. Remember this. The yellow line should always be on the left side of your car, on the driver's side of the car, okay? The driver's side of the car, the yellow line should be on. If the yellow line is ever on the passenger side of your car, you are going the wrong way. So remember that. That's very important, okay? So go out there and look at your lines and you'll see what I'm talking about on that. Like if you're on a freeway, there's a bunch of white lines, which means one way. But on the far other side, what we call, some of y'all call the fast lane, it's not called the fast lane, it's called the passing lane, there's one yellow line, and then there's a little shoulder, okay? You will never see that yellow line all on the other side. It's not going to happen, okay? So be aware of that. Let's watch a video about left turns.
Here are some common mistakes when making left turns. Advancing when light is green but not yielding to oncoming traffic will result in a collision if there's an oncoming vehicle. Advancing when light is green but failing to shoulder check for pedestrians at the crosswalk, which results in a situation of failing to yield to pedestrians and oncoming vehicles. Turning too wide as a result of excessive speed may cause a collision. Also, a potential hazard is created by drivers who accelerate towards the intersection to beat a flashing hand signal. At a high speed, the vehicle is unable to turn into the left lane. Instead, it enters into the right lane, forcing the other vehicle to take evasive actions. Turning left at the same time as a right-turning vehicle is turning into the adjacent lane. This situation creates crash potential. A large vehicle waiting to make a left turn from the opposite side may obstruct your view of oncoming vehicles. Taking a risk and turning left while unsure of oncoming traffic may result in a collision. Finally, following another vehicle into the intersection is not permitted. Only one vehicle should advance into the intersection at a time. The correct approach to make a left turn with a dedicated left turn lane is to enter dedicated left turn lane as soon as possible. Observe signals and shoulder check. If the traffic signal shows an arrow indicated turn, proceed when arrow is green. If there's no arrow, advance into the intersection, keeping vehicle wheels straight, yield to oncoming vehicles and pedestrians at crosswalks, and then proceed when safe into the left lane. The correct approach to make a left turn without a dedicated left turn lane is to wait for the green light in the left lane. When light is green, advance into the intersection, keeping vehicle wheels straight, and proceed when oncoming vehicles have cleared the intersection and pedestrians have cleared the crosswalk.
Okay, that's a pretty good video on left turns, so that should help you. All right. Now we're going to get in a little bit about parallel parking. Definitely watch my video there in Module 13 on parallel parking. I do it exactly what the DPS test wants you to do. I am a DPS tester, what we call third-party testing. If you're looking for a place to test, all right, when you get down to ready to take that test, you held your permit for 6 months and so forth, be aware that basically I do the DPS test in a lot of towns, so you can always call us or email us and ask us if where do we do the driving test, and I'll shoot you a website. I can text you a website to go to, and you'll be able to see the places that I have listed. Pretty much in every major city, I have a person that can do the DPS test, so you don't have to wait 3 months to get your appointment. All right. Talk about a little bit can't even get it out. Perpendicular parking. Man, hard word to say. Couldn't get it out there. But anyway, I do have a very good video in parking. It's just a video on parking. It's not parallel parking. It has a little bit of parallel parking in it, but it talks about the lines, using the lines to help you park and putting the thing in even. So definitely watch that video. It's a very good one in Module 13. Okay, backing up straight, you need to be able to do that. You also need to be able to do a 3-point turnaround. I also have a 2-point turnaround that I've talked about in some of my videos in Module 13, so be aware of that. This next slide right here is about 3-point turnaround and how to do it.
So here, the first thing we want to do, since in this case we're going to turn left, is to get as close as possible to the right so that we have as much room as possible to maneuver. When we do that, we put the flasher to indicate that we're going to slow down or even stop if needed. Now we put our flasher to the left, and also Extremely important here, the verifications, mirrors and blind spot to the left. Keep in mind that in this case, we'll be crossing two whole lanes on a two-way street. So we have to make sure that we check the mirrors and blind spot to make sure there's nobody coming from behind, and also a last check at the front to make sure nobody's coming from there either. So we do that, and if the coast is clear in both directions, we accelerate smoothly, and the trick here, as with all situations where we're in a tight spot, is to turn the wheel completely to the left, meaning until it blocks. Then we advance as far as we can to the left. Now we put in reverse, do our verifications again to both sides before backing up, and again, accelerating smoothly, we turn the wheel completely to the right and we back up as much as we can. Now we put in DR first, verifications again to both sides, then we turn the wheel completely to the left, we keep on going until the car is straight, and then we turn the wheel 1.5 turn to the right to straighten the wheels. Also, don't forget, you can't do this over a solid line. I hope you liked this video. Like and subscribe if you want. If you have any questions or suggestions, post them in the comments. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so again, make sure you see Modular 13 on all the good videos about what to teach, how to teach. Make sure your parents watching that Modular 13 on what to do to teach. Make sure you're following the right stuff, okay? All right, so let's get into some of our skills stuff. Read about this on page 42, the economy, civility, safety, economy, and civility, okay? So just make sure you're watching that. What's next? At the end of each modular, you will take a quiz over the information that you have learned. Here is a sample of the questions that you will see. And the questions are here to help you preview the questions that might be asked on the quiz. So be aware of that, okay? So they're sort of review questions. So I'm going to kind of read through these and go through them. I'm not necessarily going to go over the answers, guys, so just kind of be aware of that, all right? You'll definitely probably see most of these on the quiz, all right? You can take each question, pause the video, take a picture of it, blow it up, and then kind of do these as review questions as you go through your learn part, okay? Number one, in of a second of eyes, seeing object sends signals through the nerves, impulse, and visual cortex that is located in the back of the brain. Is that a third, a half, or 3/4, or none of these? So again, I want you to answer these. I don't want to answer these for you. I want you to go into the learn part and do that. Number two, vision allows one to see clearly in order to recognize the objects in reading displays. Read displays. Depth perception is judged by vision, blank vision. Blank vision detects motion from the sides. Number five, the type of vision most strongly affected by fatigue, drugs, and speed is what vision? Okay. Targeting and labels enables the driver to blank. Okay. So I'll pause a little bit there so you can kind of look those over. All right, here we go. Number 7, when traveling 55 miles an hour, blank second following distance interview is recommended. I would suggest also, guys, going to looking at your DPS book online. You can do the DPS handbook online. You just Google it, all right, and you download it to your computer. And at chapter 8 talks about the speed, braking, and reaction times. So almost the very first page talks about it in chapter 8 of that. A visual search of patterns includes what? All right. A traditional intersection is a place where blank or more roadways users meet and cross at a point. Okay. Vehicle balance is maintained through what? Vehicle weight transferred from side to side is known as what? Okay. Vehicle weight transferred forward and back is known as what? Okay. When braking, a vehicle's weight transfers what? I mean, think about it. When you brake, where does it transfer? I mean, that should be a very easy one. Okay. I'll pause here for a second so you can get those down. Number 14, when accelerating, a vehicle's weight transfers. Okay, and then 15, braking, just a short or lockup is known as what? Okay, and then the true and false, mental attention is behavior of cognitive process selected, concentration of one aspect of the environment while ignoring the others. 17, field of vision is also called peripheral vision. 18, the ability of driving safety is determined by both visual and perception. 19, reference points are used to judge the vehicle's what? One vehicle operating space means there are restrictions in the line sight path of travel. Ideal vehicle balance is reached when the vehicle is stationary. 22, rear limitations are used when backing up to know where your rear bumper is, okay? And 23, to back up, to back to the right, the driver must steer to the left. Is that true or right? I mean, think about that. I'll give you a good hint on this one. If I'm backing up, so I'm looking back, and I want my car to go left, I'm going to turn the steering wheel in the opposite direction. If I want the steering wheel, you kind of see that? So kind of be aware of that. I want the steering wheel. So if I want to go left, I'm going to turn the steering wheel, not opposite direction, I'm sorry. If I'm backing up and I want to steer, I want to turn left. The back end's going to go left. Turn the steering wheel where you want your rear end to go when you're looking back. That's the best example I can say. Okay? 25, is there obstructions, light of sight, travel, reduce speed. So just kind of be aware of these. You can go over them. Other than that, hopefully see you in the next modular if I have a video for the next modular. Okay? Again, not all the modulars are going to have videos. All right? Thanks.